It was a calm morning in the North Atlantic. The sun shimmered on the waves, a gentle breeze brushing the deck. The crew moved about, carrying trays of breakfast, coffee steaming in cups, the smell of bread and salt in the air. Everything looked perfectly ordinary. And then, in the blink of an eye, it all changed. Chairs were left pulled out. Plates half-eaten. Tools scattered. But the crew? Gone. No struggle, no screams, no radio calls. The logbook lay open, its final entry unfinished, a single chilling line written in haste. If anyone finds this, don't step on the deck. Tonight, we dive into the ocean's darkest secret, a deck that should have been full of life, but became a tomb for those who vanished without a trace. The morning started like any other in the North Atlantic. Waves glistened under a pale sun, the wind whispering against the sails. The crew went about their routines, unaware that this day would not end as it began. Breakfast had just been served. Coffee steamed in iron cups. The smell of freshly baked bread mingled with salt from the sea. Laughter echoed softly as a sailor recounted a story from the previous voyage, while another adjusted the rigging, humming a familiar tune. Everything seemed ordinary, almost serene. But the serenity carried a quiet warning. The ocean, vast and indifferent, can hide secrets beneath its calm surface. And on that morning, the sea had a secret that would change the lives of everyone who would ever hear about this ship. The first sign was subtle, a faint groan, a creak that didn't belong. A chair slid slightly as if someone had been pushed, yet no one was there. Plates rattled softly, but no one moved. A shadow flitted across the deck, gone before anyone could identify it. Minutes passed. The air felt heavier. The sunlight reflected strangely on the polished wood, shimmering in ways that seemed unnatural. Sailors began to notice the silence. Not the peaceful silence of the ocean, but an absence. Something was missing. When one turned toward the galley, there was no one there. The smell of coffee hung in the air, yet the cups were untouched. Bread lay half-eaten. Tools were scattered, yet no hand had disturbed them. Chairs were pulled out as though the crew had just left, but no one had. Panic didn't set in immediately. The captain walked the deck, calling out names, expecting laughter, a reply, some indication that this was a joke. The radio crackled faintly, the signal weak, but no response came. And then it hit, the logbook. Open, pages fluttering in the wind, its final entry incomplete. Written in a hurried, almost frantic script was a single line: "If anyone finds this, don't step on the deck." The words lingered, echoing across the empty ship. The normality of breakfast and routine had been erased, replaced with a dread that the human mind struggles to comprehend. Outside, the ocean reflected the sky in muted blues and grays, calm, but hiding the chaos it had created. Waves lapped gently against the hull, masking the unnatural stillness aboard. The sea, which had carried the ship safely for countless voyages, now held its darkest secret. No storm, no collision, no warning of mechanical failure. Everything appeared perfect. Yet perfection, in this case, was terrifying. Time seemed to stretch, the minutes elongated as if the world itself had paused to witness what had happened aboard that vessel. Investigators would later describe arriving on the scene as stepping into a ghost story. The ship was intact. Nothing had fallen overboard. The breakfast table was still set. The smell of coffee, the steam from cups, the half-eaten bread, everything remained as if the crew had only stepped away for a moment. And yet, no one remained. The ocean had swallowed 12 lives without leaving a trace, leaving behind only questions that defied logic. Those who boarded later spoke of a chilling atmosphere, a sense of being watched. A subtle pressure that made the air seem thicker, harder to breathe. For hours, search teams combed the surrounding waters, but the ocean kept its secret. No bodies, no debris, no sign of struggle. The horizon remained calm, a cruel contrast to the terror aboard the vessel. Each creak of the ship, each movement of the ropes in the wind, became amplified in the minds of those who explored it. And every log, every note, every piece of scattered personal effect whispered the same chilling truth: the crew had vanished into thin air. The psychological toll on those who would later investigate was profound. Every assumption about reality, every understanding of cause and effect, was challenged. How could a group of trained sailors, on a well-maintained ship, in calm seas, disappear completely? There were theories: abduction, mass hallucination, unknown phenomena, but none could explain the exact details observed that morning. Even decades later, the story continues to haunt those who hear it, because it forces the mind to confront one undeniable fact: sometimes, the ocean is not just water and waves. Sometimes, it is a keeper of secrets that humans are not meant to understand. And as the sun climbed higher, glinting off the calm waters, the ship sat in silence. The plates remained half-eaten, the cups of coffee still warm. Shadows of lives lost lingered like a memory, intangible yet impossible to ignore. On that silent deck, a lesson remained etched into the very wood of the ship: the ocean is vast, indifferent, and sometimes, it chooses to erase those who dare to traverse it without warning. By the time night approached, the story of that vanished crew had begun to spread. Radio operators told of signals that never should have existed. Logs that ended mid-sentence. Photographs that showed empty chairs at tables where 12 lives had once moved. And for the first time, those who learned of this tale realized the full terror. The ocean's quiet moments can be the deadliest. A calm sea is not always safe. Sometimes, it is simply the stillness before disappearance. As the initial shock of the disappearance settled, investigators and sailors alike tried to piece together what had happened. The ocean remained calm, mocking their efforts, reflecting the pale light of the morning like nothing had changed. Yet aboard the ship, everything spoke of an unnatural pause in time. The radio equipment, meticulously maintained, hummed faintly but emitted no signals. Every instrument, every gauge, every navigational device functioned perfectly, but the crew was nowhere to be found. Forensic teams later described stepping onto the deck as entering a surreal scene. Coffee cups remained warm, as if they had only been set down moments ago. Knives and forks were positioned just so. Bread lay on plates in the same arrangement the sailors had left it. Yet, there were no fingerprints on the cups, no signs of hurried retreat, nothing that indicated human movement. The mystery grew with every passing hour. It was as if the crew had evaporated into thin air, leaving only echoes of their presence. The psychological effect on those exploring the vessel was profound. Heart rates increased at the smallest sounds: the creak of a board, the distant slap of waves against the hull. The mind, desperate for explanation, began to fill the void with possibilities: ghost abductions, secret experiments, time slips. Every step taken on the deck amplified the eerie emptiness, each corridor and cabin echoing like a mausoleum. Even the sunlight streaming through the porthole seemed unnatural, casting long shadows that moved in ways no one could explain. Meanwhile, historical research revealed chilling parallels. 12 years earlier, a near-identical incident had occurred in another section of the Atlantic. A research vessel had vanished under calm conditions, leaving only debris scattered miles apart. The similarities were uncanny. Both cases involved fully functional ships, no storm activity, and crews that disappeared without warning. Experts began to wonder, could there be a pattern, a hidden force in the ocean that selectively erased people and left only the vessels behind? The mystery deepened when sonar scans revealed something impossible beneath the ship. The hull seemed slightly elevated above the waterline, as if hovering. Magnetic readings fluctuated inexplicably, showing energies not associated with normal sea currents. Engineers and scientists combed through every instrument, unable to account for the phenomena. Even the most skeptical investigators began to admit there was something unexplainable at play, something that defied physics and logic. Survivors of similar maritime events provided testimonies that added another layer of terror. One fisherman described a morning fog so thick it swallowed everything, only to see ships appear suddenly, as though they had been waiting. Others spoke of hearing voices carried across calm waters, faint echoes of men and women who should no longer exist. Every account, while anecdotal, seemed to converge on the same chilling truth: the ocean held secrets that humans could not fully grasp. Meanwhile, the search for the missing crew intensified. Rescue divers explored below decks, careful not to disturb any evidence. Each cabin was pristine, personal belongings untouched. One diary revealed a note that seemed out of place: "We are safe. Time is different here." The vague phrasing sent shivers down the spines of everyone who read it. What did it mean to exist in a different time, to vanish from one moment and reappear in another? The notion was impossible, yet the evidence on that silent deck could not be denied. As night fell, the psychological pressure on the investigation team mounted. Every creak of the ship, every whisper of wind, became magnified in the eerie silence. Sleep was impossible. Minds replayed the morning over and over: the cups of coffee, the half-eaten bread, the logbook's final warning. It was as if the ocean itself was taunting them, reminding them that for all their knowledge, humans were insignificant in the vast expanse of water and time. By the end of the second day, theories began to take shape, though none could be proven. Some suggested a natural phenomenon, a rare confluence of currents, gases, and atmospheric conditions capable of creating a temporal distortion. Others speculated about supernatural forces, something ancient lurking beneath the waves, capable of selectively erasing life. And yet, no matter the theory, every person who stepped aboard felt the same unshakable certainty: the crew had not simply disappeared, they had been taken somewhere else entirely, a place where the laws of reality did not apply. Finally, footage from the ship's surveillance cameras revealed something that would haunt investigators forever. Shadows moved across the deck, figures glimpsed only for a second, as if fading in and out of existence. No faces were visible, no features recognizable, only outlines, moving deliberately, then gone. The chill that ran through the investigators' spines was not from the cold North Atlantic, but from the realization that the crew may still exist somewhere, trapped in a liminal space between reality and disappearance. The silent deck remained a monument to the unknown. For decades, experts have debated, theorized, and argued, yet the puzzle remains unsolved. What forces could selectively remove humans while leaving objects untouched? How could time seem to bend aboard a simple vessel? And most chilling of all, will the ocean claim another crew someday, repeating history in the same quiet, terrifying way? The third day aboard the silent deck brought no answers, only more questions. The calm North Atlantic seemed to mock every effort to understand what had happened. Investigators combed through every corner of the vessel, every cabin, every storage locker, but the crew remained missing. It was as if the ocean itself had pressed the erase button, leaving only a perfectly preserved stage set of their lives. Psychologists who studied the scene described a sense of unreality that gripped even the most rational minds. The warmth of the morning sun seemed off, the wind too light, the gentle rocking of the ship too deliberate. Every detail, from the half-open drawers to the plates of breakfast, created an almost unbearable tension in anyone who stepped aboard. Human instinct screamed that something was wrong, that this was not merely an accident or disappearance, but something far beyond comprehension. Then, in a corner of the deck, investigators discovered a subtle anomaly: small, perfectly round impressions in the wood, spaced as if someone had been kneeling or walking in precise intervals. They led to the ship's railing, where the horizon stretched endlessly. The marks seemed fresh, as if the crew had walked there moments before, but no one was present. The idea of a temporal or dimensional distortion began to take shape. Could the crew exist in a parallel moment, a pocket of reality overlaid on our own? The thought chilled every person who considered it. The ship's instruments revealed even stranger readings. Magnetic fields fluctuated wildly, yet only around the areas where the impressions were found. Temperatures shifted slightly, colder than the surrounding air, as if something unseen absorbed heat from its surroundings. Engineers checked their equipment, recalibrated, tested again, nothing. Every explanation fell short. The silent deck had become a laboratory of the impossible, a case study in how reality could twist beyond comprehension. By the fourth day, the story of the vanished crew spread beyond naval circles. Mariners, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike speculated endlessly. Some suggested alien intervention, citing the impossible precision of the disappearance. Others theorized a natural phenomenon that humans had never observed, a temporary rift in time created by the ocean itself. And a few whispered of curses, old maritime legends claiming that the North Atlantic sometimes took those who grew too comfortable, too bold, too unaware. Footage captured by a drone later revealed ghostly outlines of figures on the deck at twilight. They moved deliberately, circling the breakfast table, brushing against invisible air, then fading as if swallowed by reality itself. No one could confirm what was recorded. Was it a trick of light? A glitch in the drone's camera? Or were these the crew, trapped in a liminal state, repeating the final moments of their day over and over, forever unreachable? The psychological impact on those studying the ship was profound. Many reported nightmares, sudden chills, and a lingering sense of dread. The silent deck was no longer just a mystery, it became a legend, a story that challenged human perception of time, space, and mortality. Experts warned against prolonged exposure, claiming that even thinking too deeply about the crew's disappearance could leave one obsessed, questioning the nature of reality itself. Finally, as night fell on the fifth day, investigators stepped back and realized that some mysteries were never meant to be solved. The deck was intact, the crew gone. The plates remained half-eaten. Coffee cups still held traces of warmth. And the logbook lay open, its final warning haunting every observer: if anyone finds this, don't step on the deck. The words were a reminder that not all disappearances have an explanation, and that the ocean, vast and indifferent, keeps secrets far beyond human understanding. As the team left the vessel, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, golden rays across the calm North Atlantic. The silent deck waited, still and silent, a ghostly monument to the vanished crew. And somewhere, in a place beyond comprehension, the 12 sailors continued their endless breakfast, frozen in a moment that would never truly end. For those who hear this story, one chilling truth remains: the ocean is patient. It waits. And sometimes, it takes what it desires, forever. As the ship fades into the horizon, the ocean swallows its secrets once more. The silent deck remains, untouched yet empty, a haunting reminder that not everything lost is gone, some things are simply waiting. No one knows where the crew went, or if they will ever return. Their story lingers in the waves, in the whispers of the wind, in the shadows of the deck. And for those who dare to imagine, one question remains: if the ocean can erase 12 lives without a trace, could it choose you next? Tonight, as you watch, remember, sometimes the calmest seas hide the darkest mysteries. And the silent deck waits, silently, patiently, in the North Atlantic. Stay with us, because the ocean has more stories yet to reveal, stories you won't believe, until you see them for yourself.